I guess I am a veteran Lake Erie fisheries biologist, but I want to be clear, I'm not a technical expert on Asian carp or aquatic nuisance species control efforts. I was added to the Asian Carp Regional Coordinating Committee, I think in a large part because I do work on Lake Erie, and it's pretty well widely believed that if Asian carp do enter New York, they're likely going to be entering it from Lake Erie, and in particular from that interbasin connection between the Mississippi and the Great Lakes basins at the Chicago Sanitary Ship Canal. So, I don't have any first-hand experience with carp. I do participate in a lot of conference calls on carp, and I do have a view of the action happening at the front lines, if you will, and I'll be happy to share that today. This next slide kind of gives you a sense of what this Asian Carp Regional Coordinating Committee looks like. It was really a White House initiated effort with a Asian carp czar, John Goss, and a whole lot of federal and state partners. The federal partners include USGS, Wildlife Service, the Coast Guard, Corps of Engineers, and all the state partners are the 8 bordering Great Lakes states. There's international commissions such as the Great Lakes Fisheries Commission and so forth. And this is a Great Lakes-centric effort, and certainly we're all mindful that Asian carp can get into the Great Lakes via can get into New York via other avenues than the Great Lakes. But this particular initiative really has a Great Lakes focus. And a little bit about the threat, and Asian carp, I think, are one of our better publicized and well-known possible threats. So there's been an awful lot of media information available on Asian carp. Asian carp just generically refers to several species of related fish that all originated from Asia. And there's 2 species in particular that are the imminent threat to the Great Lakes. Those are bighead and silver carp that were first imported into southern United States, I believe Arkansas, as a biological method to control algae in aquaculture ponds, as well as to investigate their potential for fish for the markets. They escaped into the wild and were illegally introduced and spread, and flooding in the south certainly contributed to their movements. And they've pretty much made their way up the Mississippi and Illinois river systems, and in many areas they now comprise more than 95% of the fish biomass in certain parts of these rivers. They're voracious eaters. These 2 species, the bighead and the silver carp, are planktivorous fish. They eat algae and microscopic organisms that, at the base of the food web, and are feared to have large ecological consequences for these systems. They grow to large sizes. The bighead carp can get to be over 100 pounds. The silver carp, not quite so large, but still a very large fish. And the silver carp is the one that's very skittish and is easily startled and jumps as high as 10 feet out of the water if sometimes encountered by a passing boat. And these fish not only pose an ecological threat, but maybe a physical threat to boaters. People have been injured, boats have been damaged, and one woman in Illinois was almost killed by these flying fish. Next slide is a map of the distribution of bighead carp. The distribution of silver carp is almost identical. You can see from the red shaded areas that they've made their way up the Mississippi and are right at the brink of the Great Lakes on Lake Michigan. And also see that Lake Erie is already color-coded red as part of the distribution of bighead carp. We really don't believe they're established in Lake Erie. Long about 2002, 2003, somewhere in there, a couple of individual bighead carp were recovered by fishermen on Lake Erie. Or something. Great Lakes are particularly at risk via an artificial open water connection known as the Chicago Sanitary Ship Canal. I'll put my cursor approximately where Chicago is. This sanitary ship canal was constructed over 100 years ago as a way for Chicago to get rid of its sewage effluent. It reversed the flow of the Chicago River into the Mississippi Basin. And apparently for many years this was a very polluted area, uninhabitable by fish, and really didn't cause problems for transfer of organisms. But in more modern times, this has developed into an area that allows access for fish movements. It's become an important commercial and recreational avenue for traffic between the Mississippi and the Great Lakes Basin. And that's far and away the largest single area for the potential of carp entering, or Asian carp entering the Great Lakes. We don't think that the entire Great Lakes system is going to be hospitable for carp. Many of the upper Great Lakes are, large, deep, oligotrophic waters, not necessarily ideal Asian carp habitat, but there's certainly areas within the Great Lakes that probably provide much more favorable habitat for Asian carp. And Lake Erie in particular is one of those areas with very important sport and commercial fisheries. So we're especially worried about this threat on Lake Erie. The next slide is a little bit more of a close-up of the front of the carp movement relative to southern Lake Michigan. You can see the leading edge of the adult population shaded in yellow here. I've got my cursor over it right now. And then the red area is the viable reproducing population with juveniles and adults. And a little bit further up towards Lake Michigan here is a little yellow star, which are the principal line of defense. That's the electrical dispersal barriers. There's 3 electrical arrays in place right now. That's the primary means of keeping carp and other invasive species from entering the Great Lakes, or for that matter, invasive species from the Great Lakes from entering the Mississippi Basin. In this area, this close-up area, there's a whole array of other activities that are happening to monitor the movement of carp, to assess the effectiveness of the electrical barriers, to explore an awful lot of different methods to see if this is effectively keeping carp out of the Great Lakes. You can see from the little insert legend in the upper left here that those dispersal barriers are about 37 miles from Lake Michigan, and the adult population front is about 55 miles from Lake Michigan. So carp are not far from the electrical barriers right now. Let me see if I can go back one slide here. Okay. So among these other monitoring efforts that I mentioned include standardized electrofishing and netting surveys, eDNA sampling, pretty sophisticated techniques, molecular techniques, examining the water column for carp DNA. There's juvenile and larval fish monitoring. There's telemetry studies in place around the electrical barriers to assess how fish react to these electrical dispersal barriers, and there's a whole variety of research and development activities underway. And as a member of the control committee, we get regular updates on the progress of these efforts and weekly sampling updates. These are the results compiled for the period up till the end of August here. A lot of electrofishing trips and contract netting efforts, and bottom line result is that no bighead or silver carp, no actual individuals have been detected upstream of the barriers in 2011. In 2010, there was one individual bighead carp captured in Lake Calumet, and that's the only one to date that we're aware of. Immediately downstream of the barrier, again, a lot of sampling effort conducted, and no bighead or silver carp in the areas immediately downstream of the barriers. The Lockport Pools that's highlighted in red down there is the pool where the electrical barrier is in place. These sampling efforts are according to a plan, a document. This is the front cover of the Monitoring and Rapid Response Plan for Asian Carp in the Upper Illinois River and the Chicago Area Waterway System. An element of this plan includes a rapid response protocol if there's sufficient evidence of Asian carp past or upstream of the barriers. And in fact, there was a rapid response initiated in early August this year, and that was in response to 3 consecutive eDNA positive sampling events. And again, it was in Lake Calumet where one bighead carp was captured the previous year. So there was a great deal of sampling done with conventional gear, nets, seines, trap nets, electrofishing. There was also some hydroacoustic work done, and in total, a lot of fish were captured, representing a lot of different species, but no bighead or silver carp captured or seen. Stepping back a little bit from the efforts that are focused in this little red rectangle here in the Chicago area, there's a whole array of other interbasin connections between the Mississippi River and the Great Lakes Basin. And this investigation of these other potential pathways, and including the pathway at the Chicago area, is under the umbrella of the acronym is GLMRIS, Great Lakes Mississippi River Interbasin Study. Leslie's connected with this effort more directly, and this particular investigation is to examine more closely the open water connections at the Mississippi and Great Lakes Basin and seek solutions for preventing movement of carp, and not only carp, but other aquatic invasive species between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi Basin. GLMRIS has identified 18 connections in particular that are posing a significant risk for movement of aquatic invasive species. There's one here that's highlighted by a yellow star here in Indiana. That place is known as Eagle Marsh, and that is a potential pathway directly to Lake Erie via the Maumee River. And in that location, an action was already taken to create a, I think it was a 1,300-meter long mesh fence to keep carp out of the Maumee. And in fact, there's some video available online that shows that common carp, European carp, are challenging the barrier during flooding events right now. And I believe the carp that were trying to move one way or the other were actually trying to challenge the barrier from the Great Lakes side into the Mississippi Basin. You might also notice that of these 18 other pathways, there's one in New York, and that particular pathway is pretty close to our office. It's an area known as East Mud Lake. It's tiny headwaters drainage into Conewango Creek and eventually the Ohio Basin. And thus far, the analyses suggest that that is a low-risk pathway. We've made a site visit to East Mud Lake with Army Corps of Engineers and Natural Resources Conservation Service staff, and we pretty well agree with that assessment as a low-risk pathway, particularly for Asian carp. So the activities that the state partners, including New York DEC, are more directly involved in. We do participate in every other week conference calls with the Asian Carp Regional Coordinating Committee and try to stay connected with the control efforts that are occurring mostly hundreds of miles away from us. Those states that are closest to the front of the carp population are already doing eDNA work, and the list of those states that are involved in that type of activity are on the right side of your screen. USGS is leading the research and development end of things. They're working on new technologies that can be applied, including selective toxins and also pheromones that might be used to attract carp to a location of capture, water guns, and other far-reaching initiatives. In addition, there's a binational scientific risk assessment being done to better quantify or assign probabilities of carp entering the Great Lakes, becoming established as populations, and understanding the potential ecological and economic consequences of carp in the Great Lakes. This report is supposed to be completed in spring 2012. So again, the research and development is being led by USGS, and they're also working towards developing tools that could be applied to other invasive species, and in particular, what those projects are, I can't say for sure right now, and I don't know, but I could for those interested, I could put you in touch with people that are more directly connected with that effort. There is a public engagement element to this Asian carp multi-agency effort. There have been glimmerous public scoping meetings in all of the Great Lakes states. Buffalo hosted one of these meetings this past winter, and at this point all the Great Lakes states have participated in these sessions. The Asian Carp Regional Coordinating Committee has had public meetings on a quarterly basis in each of the Great Lakes states, and New York's turn to host one of these meetings is tentatively in January 2013. All of these efforts, the whole array of control efforts and research and development and other pathway investigations and so forth, have been compiled as sort of a laundry list in a control framework document. It's a pretty thorough document if you want to learn more about all the activities that are occurring through this multi-agency effort. This document is available online, and I'll give you the web link in just a minute. This document also lays out, more like a strategic plan, the goal of the exercise, and objectives and timelines for getting different things done to stem carp movement into the Great Lakes Basin. And here's that web link I talked about. It's asiancarp.org. Through this link, you can access the control framework document, the rapid response and monitoring plan, and other useful information. There's a great deal of other information on this site. There's media reports, sampling updates, up-to-date eDNA results, of all the previous information that has been available through the last year or so has been archived. So for more of an in-depth understanding of what's happening to try to keep carp out of the Great Lakes, that would be a great site to visit. And That's my presentation. I appreciate your interest in this topic, and this concludes what I had to tell you today. If there's any questions or time for questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.